The story of oil and gas, especially in Sabah and Sarawak, actually goes back well even before Malaysia was formed. 1958, Tengku practically was interested in the Borneo states, Sabah and Sarawak, mainly because they have oil. Then, right after Singapore left, in 1965, they passed two laws. First one is called the Continental Shelf Act 1966, and the other one is Petroleum Mining Act 1966. Whatever is beyond the territorial water of the states belong to the federal government. That's the Continental Shelf. Petroleum Mining Act, basically, the federal government taking over the rights of licensing. The Sabah and Sarawak government refused. So in this sense, the Continental Shelf and the Petroleum Mining Act cannot be enforceable in Sabah and Sarawak. They waited until on 13 May 1969. Because of the riot in Kuala Lumpur, the federal government declared a state of emergency throughout Malaysia. Even though the fighting happened in Kuala Lumpur, it didn't spread to Sabah and Sarawak. Once they declared the state of emergency, the federal government have power to take whatever they want from any states in Malaysia, because whatever they do is not considered unconstitutional. They quickly gazette the Continental Shelf Act and the Petroleum Mining Act to be enforceable in Sabah and Sarawak. The territorial state of Sabah and Sarawak is based on the Continental Shelf, which according to UNCLOS actually covers 350 miles. So what the federal government did was, they create Emergency Essential Powers Ordinance number 7, 1969. So in that ordinance, during the state of emergency, all laws are called ordinance. And these laws are not passed by Parliament. These laws are passed by one person, and he is the director of operation. So the state territorial water is reduced to 3 nautical miles. So whatever is beyond the 3 nautical miles belongs to the federal government. In 1974, they created another act. It's called the Petroleum Development Act. And in this Petroleum Development Act, this is where they created Petronas, which is a wholly owned company by the federal government. Whatever the federal government has taken in 1969 is transferred to this company. The federal government actually steal our wealth. On the 24th of November 2011, the Prime Minister wanted to get rid of the draconian law in Malaysia. That includes the ISA. So in order for him to get rid of this law, he has to abolish the declaration of the state of emergency in Malaysia, which was done in 1969. When he lifted the state of emergency, he lifted all the gazettes, all the ordinance that was done and that was made during the state of emergency. So once all this becomes void, the Continental Shelf and the Petroleum Mining Act and the Emergency Essential Power Ordinance number 7 also becomes ineffective. All the petroleum sharing contract that is made by Petronas with the contractors such as Exxon, Shell, ConocoPhillips, Murphy Oil also becomes void. Why? Because Petronas don't have the asset to sign this contract. So in other words, if Petronas wants to continue with this petroleum sharing contract, they must have the permission from the state government. They must get the license from Sarawak and Sabah even to exist. They are a company, and as a company, they must follow the procedure. They must acquire the necessary license from Sarawak and Sabah. And from Sarawak, this license can be issued through the Sarawak Land Code. In Sabah, this license can be issued through the Sabah Land Ordinance. And the territorial water of Sarawak is actually based on North Borneo Alteration of boundary, order in council, 1954. That is for Sabah. For Sarawak, they have their own. And as such, he has every right to take it back. And this is where Petronas must get the license from the state government. So Sarawak is doing the right thing. Doesn't belong to the leaders. This wealth belongs to the people. And the leaders are supposed to look after the people. So meaning to say, you have to take it back on behalf of the people. That's the reason why the people put you there as leaders. The question is, how is it that Sarawak can do it, but Sabah cannot do it?